Kev,
Yeah, man.
I want to segue into A Day to Remember, the
Okay.
new album, You're Welcome.
Yeah.
You know, do you want to talk about why we're speaking about this album today?
Sure. Sure. So yeah, Ty and I, yeah, we don't discuss music. I mean, maybe like once or twice, music had come up for whatever reason, and who knows. A Day to Remember is a band that you and I both enjoy. It's a band that I have been listening to probably since maybe like 2008. I want to say. I think their first album, For Those Who Have Heart. I remember listening to that at one of my friends' house and was just like, what is this? These guys sound like Newfound Glory, but like they're heavy. They're on like steroids, and I was like, what is this? Like it's pop punk, but they're like playing like there's like hardcore parts, like and breakdowns, and they're doing like two stepping and stuff like that, and I just fell in love. And then Homesick came out. I think Homesick came out in 2008, and just from there, every album after that, I loved. I there hasn't been an album yet that I haven't loved, and their last album, funny enough, Bad Vibrations. I think with my first or second listen, I didn't know how I was feeling about it. There was a lot of like darker songs and heavier songs, which usually it's a Day to Remember has always been a genre, a mixing of genre type band, and I felt as if Bad Vibrations leaned more towards one side than their four or five different things that they usually do. So I kind of had missed that from the previous albums, but then as I listened to Bad Vibrations more and more, it's a solid album, and I love it. So
and speaking on that though, Bad
yeah,
Vibrations was what, 2016?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so that's when you introduced The Day to Remember to me because I never listened to them before.
Oh,
I
okay.
remember you
Wow.
told me to
Okay.
listen to their album, and I fell in love instantly. Like from A Day to Remember, I downloaded all their albums on my Apple Music. I use them to work out because a lot of their songs are great freaking workout tunes. Great to pump to when you're trying to hit
For
like
sure.
a new max. And then listening to them, you would listen to Pandora. It would be A Day to Remember Pandora, and Amity Affliction, I Prevail. Like because of you, all these bands that I've come to love just by showing me A Day to Remember has created this this newfound love for like this pop punk side of music that I never
Mhm.
listened to until you showed me.
Uh, I I'm glad I could do that for you, man. That's awesome. Um, so, uh, you know, 5 years later, we finally have in our possession the album "You're Welcome," which was originally supposed to be released in November of 2019, and then a little thing called coronavirus hit, and a lot of things got messed up, to say the least. Um, with this album, there was, they had that release date, and then they had come out and said, no, it's actually not going to come out then. And they were just going to kind of sprinkle out singles here and there. And, because we got Degenerates back in like the summer of 2019 or something like
What a
that.
jam, though,
Right.
bro! It was
And
so
then,
good.
excuse me, and then I think we got Resentment maybe that same year. And, it just kind of showed like what A Day to Remember has always been. They start off with this really more pop punk esque track and then went to a heavier track. Um, and then 2020 comes, and we get Mind Reader and I think Brick Wall at the very end of the year, and there was some mixed thoughts about Brick Wall, and even with me, and I was like, wow, this is really weird. Like, where's this song going? It's like so up and down, and um, so anywho, Your Welcome is released March 5th. And I felt like a kid, on Christmas Eve, like I couldn't wait. So midnight hits, it's downloaded to my phone, and Laura and I are up, and we started listening to each track, and then I was like, I can't listen to the whole thing. I got work tomorrow. We listened to the whole thing, and I was very taken back because there was some things that happened that I was a little surprised with, but pleasantly surprised. And I honestly didn't know how the rest of A Day to Remember's fan base was going to take it. So then the next day, so that morning, still March 5th, technically, that morning, I end up seeing reviews that are really, really awful. It was some really awful shit being said, and I was a little taken back. Um, One that I think I had told you that stuck out in my mind, I think, because it's repulsive, is about some guy would rather scrape his taint than listen to this album. And I'm thinking, okay, if you'd rather do that than just maybe chill and like drive, down the highway with your windows down, jamming some fun tracks, I feel really sorry for you. And I think that individual, they need to reach out to someone and talk about their feelings, because it seems like they got a lot of fucked up shit going on in their head. I feel really sorry for that person that wants to, scrape their booty hole, rather than listen to an album. So, but there was just a lot of stuff where like people wanted refunds for their vinyls, and um, they felt as if you sent me that meme about the disrespect your fan base, which they're mimicking the song Mr. Highway's thinking about the end from Homesick, and there's a line in there, disrespect your surroundings, and just all this different shit. And I was just like really just taken back and surprised. And at first my initial reaction was like get really defensive and like, I gotta
let me comment back on these idiots.
Yeah, and it's just like, and my wife, calms me down, like that's ridiculous, and then you think to yourself, you know what, like just enjoy it for yourself.
Yeah.
If you enjoy it, that's all that matters, and you have it. If other people don't, then other people don't. I don't know why I got defensive. Well, I'm sorry, I kind of do, and the reason being is because, um, A Day to Remember, like I said, has always been a genre mixing band. So they've always had, as their albums progressed, I would say more so than their earlier stuff, they have dabbled in, tracks that are more like metalcore ish. They've had pop punk tracks, they've had acoustic tracks, they've had like more alternative hard rock kind of tracks, like radio sort of hard rock tracks, and that's why I always loved their stuff, because I was never really, me personally, I was never really bored, and all the genres that they uh, the genres that are contained in their music, are all genres that I enjoy. I mean, primarily I love listening to heavier kind of stuff, but I've always been a sucker of really catchy stuff. I've always been a sucker of pop punk. I mean, I grew up in high school in the era of emo music. So bands like Taking Back Sunday and Brand New and Census Fail and Blink-182 were a huge influence on me even being a musician. So I've always been a fan of pop punk. And I'm just, I don't know, as I've like grown older, I've definitely just tried to appreciate just good songs and good songwriting, because it's not easy to do at all.
No.
So I think that's why I got very defensive, where I felt like the album was what they primarily do. And then when I thought about it more, they signed to a brand new label, Fueled by Rom, which is, if people are familiar with the label, they're the label of Paramore and that band called Fun that had like one song. I forget how it went. They had 21 Pilots are on there. So a lot of radio friendly, pretty large bands on this label. So I think a lot of people were like, oh my God, here we go. Fueled by Ramen's going to get involved, and they're going to completely clean up, so to speak, A Day to Remember and make them something that they're not.
See,
And
see, the thing that bothers me about that though is at the end of the day, whether they're a label or a band, you're doing this as a career and you want to make money.
sure.
But and people can say people sold out or not, but with this album, I don't see A Day to Remember selling out. I see them finding a theme for their songs that really hit home, and I really enjoyed, because if you listen to Only Money, like that song is literally just like trying to tell you, like, family and friends are the most important in your life, and sometimes work and sometimes money and sometimes bills get in the way, and you need that reminder, whether it's through a song or something, just to say, hey, listen, whatever's going on in your life, your family will be always there, your friends will always be there, like make sure to stay with them and stick with them, because you don't know how long you have left with these people. And it's so true, especially for me living a few states away from my family for almost 8 years now, and like especially with COVID happening and the travel restrictions that we had for a bit, like it was tough to see my family, and it's rough. And I've always been a big family person, so like it really hit home. And a lot of their songs, just if you listen and listen to the words and you listen to the lyrics, like you can feel every inch of heart put into them. So they did not sell out. Like for if they meant to make this album about making you rethink and understand life and what's important, it worked. It 100% worked. Even high diving. A lot of people, especially nowadays with anxiety and being stressed out, especially with COVID, especially with making sure that you're being safe and your family members are being safe. Like it's literally about taking a step back, taking a breath, and realizing that even at work, if you're trying your hardest, if you did your best, that's all you can do, and don't worry too much. Like the themes of these songs for people to like bash is pretty harsh, and you really need to reconsider about what you're saying about this album, because the themes and everything about it is out of this world. I'm getting the chills right now talking about it, because I when I listened to this, we didn't speak about what the fan base said about this album. I didn't even see any of those memes yet. So I remember you told me the album was out, so I listened to it. And then I saw that one meme on Facebook that I showed you, and then you told me about like the outcry from the fan base, and I'm like, as someone who played percussion my whole life and has been, I've played jazz, I've played, rock, I've played swing, I've played literally every different genre under the sun. So I appreciate good music, regardless of what genre it is. And, do I love their, metalcore? Do I love their, their hardcore pop punk stuff? Yes, because I will freaking jam in the gym and love every second and feel freaking pumped up the entire time. But you can't do the same thing over and over and over again. Some bands do, but like you said, it's nice to have things switched up. It's not the same thing every time. When a band can show you that they can hit all these different types of genres, they're talented. And for people to get mad that their band's showing their skills and showing their talent and showing that they can do all these different types of things, you're not a fan. You're just a hypocrite, and you're just looking to hate on the internet. That's all, and that's simple as that.
Yeah, at first that's sort of the way that I get that. Fans of a Data member, and just people who have their favorite bands or their favorite artists, they're just as passionate as people who are passionate, say, about, we primarily talk about superhero films and TV shows. And, the passion shows, and people, especially with the internet, that they love sharing their negative thoughts. And, sometimes you can't help but think like, oh my God, like people just can't wait to just start tearing things apart.
And it's funny because, growing up, I was always told, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say it. So, like, I feel like I'm not the only person that was taught that. So it's, it's funny coming into the world with social media and how many people don't follow that. More people will talk about what they don't like and the non-nice things they like to say and push it out than say the nice things. I instantly tweeted them, and they'll probably never see it, but I wanted to send good vibes their way because they made a hell of a freaking album. I loved almost every song. I still have to listen to like 2 or 3, but hats off to them. I've been jamming to Viva La Mexico all freaking week, and I'm going to keep jamming it because that's my summer song, because it's fan-freaking-tastic. It's all good vibes, and it's what I want to roll down the street to with my windows down and drinking beers too. So that's what I'll be doing all summer.
I agree. And you know what? You said good vibes. And the thing is, people, hey, they're going to say what they're going to say. And people are very strong when they're behind a computer screen. We all know that. And just, the fact that they have the freedom to just spew their vomit all over the place. I sort of looked at it from a different perspective. And it's not just the fact that, like, I just recently became a father. But, I'm going to be 33 this year. The members in this band are in their, early 30s. Majority of them are married and have kids. I think Jeremy, the lead singer, is actually expecting his second child. And where I'm trying to get at with this is, yes, they signed to a label that, you know, I don't even know. I guess you would. I don't know. See, I always thought Fuel Bar Ramen was an independent label, but they come across more of a major label, and they might be considered a major label nowadays. But anyways, they you know, I was watching some interviews with the band, actually with Jeremy in particular, and he said, you know, the label gave them a lot of opportunities to work with a lot of different producers and collaborate on ideas for songs, and you know, certain songs that they were writing, they thought of, you know, what producer they would want to work with based off the song style. They thought, you know, oh, blank name would be a perfect fit, and they had the opportunity to do that. Someone as myself who's a musician, I think that's incredible, and I think it's extremely hard to write hit songs. I don't know. I've written a lot of different songs, and you know, me and Marcus, who we've had on the podcast before, we're actually writing new songs now, and it's a shit ton of fun. But it's very difficult, and you might think it's good, but they write songs that I'm honestly, you know, jealous of, and I go, shit, I wish I could write something like that or think of something like that. But what I'm trying to get at is the the album put me in a good mood, and I think if anything nowadays, I think a lot of people can agree that we need stuff to make you feel good, and this album selfishly made me feel good, and I feel as if they're older now, so to speak, and they're not going to maybe their songwriting, you know, is going to change a bit because of that. You know, maybe they're going to change some things around because they've been through a lot. They've done certain things before. Now they're growing as musicians, as husbands, as fathers, and I don't know. I think if I had the opportunity to be a musician and that was my career and that was my source of income, this whole selling out bullshit, I don't care. If you're able to live out a dream like that, go for it.
Yes.
This whole like you know, fuck this major label and I don't care. I'm, you know, if you have the opportunity to do that and write, you know, solid songs, like to me every song off the album is a solid song.
Yes.
I really enjoy it, and I don't know, I keep hearing different things from different people. I listened to a podcast today where they literally brought this album up and we're talking about, you know, the way the album was mixed was really funky, and you know, it kind of it's so back and forth, and I don't know if maybe watching this interview with Jeremy recently kind of clarified things, but the way that they structured the album was more of like a set list at a concert, and when you listen to it thinking about it that way, how it sort of, you know, brings you up and then it kind of mellows you out and you kind of like your level for a little bit, and then it'll pick you back up and then it'll kind of slow you down, and then it closes with the track Everything We Need. I don't know, I just, to me there was something about this album, like almost every Day to Remember album, it's so weird, they're like the one band that does it for me. Whatever I'm going through in my life, it seems to be the soundtrack of what's going on.
But
and
if you think about it, it's because,
but,
you know, we're the same age, you know? And
yeah,
that's the biggest thing right there. You know, these bands are creating music based off their experiences in life. Like, when bands don't do that anymore, that's when they start to sell out. That's when they
and a
start to...
lot of people say that their songs are meaningless, which is crazy.
What's wild. Because every song was full of heart and full of meaning in this album. It really was. And like you said, like, we're getting older. And, you know, they're finding out the most important things in their lives, and that's what they're performing about. They're performing about things that their experiences and what they feel. And that's where you're going to get the best music, is when it comes straight from the heart of each musician in that band. And yeah, maybe they're rebellious and, you know, wanted to stick it to the man, you know, 10 years ago. But now they, like you said, they have families. The one song, you know, Only Money, brings about how, you know, the one band member brought his daughter to meet his grandma for the first and last time, you know?
Yeah.
And that happens. Like, that's an experience, and you feel it. And that, to me, is what brings the best out of music. When people can put their heart and soul and give you what they're feeling, because it's genuine, it's straight from the heart, and it just gets you. Because people have the same feelings, and it's going to bring you right in. So,
I don't know. I agree, man. I think everything you said is spot on. And it's tough. I mean, you know, hey, listen, everybody's going to have their opinions, and that's fine.
Yeah.
We're not always going to agree.
I just think to completely shit on this album is just unacceptable. It's
I was
not.
really surprised.
It's
Like,
not. It's not thinking about it in a nice mindset. It's wild because I guess people have their, set music styles they enjoy. And coming from me, I am a person who enjoys a lot of different genres. So, maybe that's why that I appreciate the album a lot. And people who like their old stuff maybe don't like it as much. But as just as a musician and just as a music enjoyer, like everything about this album was perfect, I thought.
I don't know. It just makes me wonder. It's tough. I mean, they're on the, like I said, the podcast I was listening to earlier today. They felt that the songs were just these like very meaningless songs, and they were very generic, and the topics, and it's tough to say. I mean, you're not in the mindset of the writer, so I don't
Exactly.
know how you can determine that. I don't know. I don't know if I need to, like, first off, to do this would be absolutely insane, but to like revisit the older Data Remember albums, like, which I actually did before
Yeah.
You're Welcome came out, and just to listen back and wonder, like, what is getting under people's skin about this record that others didn't.
Yeah.
Um and they were saying on the podcast, which I don't know how you determine this, they're saying if the album came out in 2019, so it would have been a 3-year gap from when Bad Vibrations came out till then, and that's usually like 2 to 3 years is usually when albums come out. um this was 5 years, and they were saying if it came out in 2019, the backlash would not have been what it is today.
I don't
And for
agree.
some reason, the 5 years, which I'm like, I don't know how you
I
like
don't agree
figure that.
because the themes behind this album fits perfectly for right now. I think
Thank you.
before COVID, I think it would have been more of a backlash because people would have gotten these songs and been like, what's the reason for this? Blah, blah, blah. But like now, there's even more of a reason for the songs that they have. To,
Which
to
is
sit back and
interesting.
to sit back and think and reflect on what's important in life, especially with everything that's going on. So I
It's a
see it completely different. They might, that podcast might talk about these songs being meaningless, but I see meaning in every freaking word and every freaking song. I see it completely different. And hey, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel every bit of heart in that song from each musician in that album. Sorry.
and see, I think that's the way it's supposed to be conveyed. Is that, say, if even if the band wrote these songs, and I'm assuming Jeremy's the main songwriter, he's singing this stuff. I mean, he may collaborate with other people, but even if he was writing, like, even if he said to himself, I want to write a song about, like, this has nothing to do with my life, but I want to write a song about, missing family while I'm on tour.
Yeah.
I That's probably a really bad example because I'm sure he's obviously felt that way. But if he was like, I just want to write a generic song about that, well, that someone might cling on to that song.
Yeah.
I think the song "Everything We Need," which they wrote with John Bellion. I don't know if you're familiar with that
I'm
artist. I
not.
mean, he's a really big like pop artist. Um, when that song came out, like, I needed that song.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
listening to the
great.
lyrics of that song, and I don't give a shit if it's a generic, it's 4 chords, it's a big chorus, it's overproduced, or so to speak, whatever you want to say. I needed that song.
Yes.
What he was saying in that song is a song that I need to listen to, and to me, that's how I've always been. Not just
Yeah.
with them, with all other music I listen to. You write it, you release it, I listen to it, and then as the artist, you want your fans to have some sort of connection to it. I think
Yes.
that's a goal. You let out your emotions in the song however you want to as the artist making it, and you want the fan to gravitate to that somehow. There's something in that song, whether it's the lyrics or the a certain part in the bridge or whatever. And that's sort of how I felt. Like, I'm not thinking where their mindset was when I listened to it. How does it impact me?
Yes.
How does it make me feel? And there was a lot of songs on this album that made me feel a certain way. So to me, that's why I'm like, it's a success. But apparently everybody else was like, I want to scrape my taint
Taint.
on a bunch of broken glass.
I would listen to a lot of
So
shitty songs before I scratched my taint. On
Dude,
glass.
like I would probably play like Barbie Girl by Aqua before I ever wanted to slice, you know, my Johns. I just, you know what I'm saying? Or that Friday song from Rebecca Black.
Same. I'd rather listen to
Like,
that than do
you know
that,
what I'm saying?
man.
I'd rather listen to that than
I'd rather keep
so
my
I'm
cash and prizes good, you know? I'm not scratching those things, man.
Just saying. So, I don't know, man. It's just hate is gonna hate, and
Yeah.
you and I enjoy the album, and I'm just glad that it exists, so we can just keep jamming it.
Yeah, it's. I'm
know?
gonna jam "Viva La Mexico" till I die, because that's my soul song right there. That's my let's go out and party and have a good time song, and it's gonna be that way for a long time. Love it.
There is that song. There's this part in the chorus where the guitar does this really quick octave kind of thing.
Yes.
And that's my favorite, just that little bit in that chorus where it does this octave part. That's my favorite part of the song. That's what I mean. Like, there's so many like little things that I don't know. I always pick up on, and I don't know. So whatever. I enjoy the album. A lot of people thought the title "You're Welcome" was like a little like pompous. But apparently they called it "You're Welcome" because I think they were in Japan, and Jeremy bought a sweater or like a sweatshirt, a crew neck or something like that, and it said "You're Welcome" on it, and they thought it was funny, and they posted it online, and some fan said, "I guarantee your next album is called 'You're Welcome,'" and he was like, "Oh, let's call it that." That's the only meaning. There is no other meaning behind it. They just were like, all right, let's just call it "You're Welcome." But people were like, you know, this is a bullshit album, and it's funny you called it "You're Welcome," as if, you know, they were like releasing it to us like, "You're welcome." And I feel like that's why everybody's like, fuck you, like this is shit. And whatever.
It's hard to please people nowadays.